Hello, welcome to the What About Cynics podcast. I am Aaron, this is Simon. Together we are two-thirds of What About Cynics, and today we'll be discussing Game of Thrones. We've both finished the books, so beware major spoilers.
Yeah, this is from the perspective of people who have read all of the Game of Thrones saga. And we'll also be talking about the Winds of Winter preview in the back of Dance of Dragons.
Though I hope everyone who finished Dance of Dragons read that, because if not, they have a will of iron.
Yeah, or they just missed it like I did.
True. So, where to begin? Shall we work north down?
Yeah, let's start with what happened in Dance with Dragons in the north.
Okay, so Jon Snow, you've obviously read them, just finished reading them, so take it away.
Well, what did Jon Snow do in this book other than die at the end?
Well, or did he? Well, I mean, do you want to know my theory on this? Because I had a kind of,
ahead.
I think you're right about the whole savior thing, and I think this is him about to be reborn. I think he's dead, but fucking Melisandre is gonna resurrect him, and that's kind of then he is Azor Ahai, and it's not Stannis.
Yeah, have you read the theory that's on Song of Ice and Fire wiki about Jon Snow being born as Azor Ahai?
Ahai, is it? Oh. I don't think so, no. I was talking to this about Tom, but he might have, and inseminated it to me.
It's like, because, I mean, there's sort of, like, we'll probably get onto this later, but, like, the, like, sheer, like, multitude of, like, fitting events that happen.
Like, Victorian and all that is one of them, and, yeah.
But Jon Snow's is actually definitely the most subtle. Like, well, at the end, Bowen Marsh is crying, right?
Yeah.
And, like, he describes his wound as smoking.
Mm.
And in the sky, got, the guy with the shield, or the arms with, stars on it, and the guy's dead and bleeding. And so you've essentially got all the conditions that Melisandre talks about, which are smoke and salt. So you got smoke from the wound, salt from Bowen Marsh's tears, and the bleeding stars overhead.
Goddamn! And he killed his wife.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Yeah. I had I think it fits the best, and I think it also kind of justifies why so much attention has been lumped upon Jon Snow.
Yeah, well, I mean, it fits as well as any other. I think what's interesting about it is just how subtle it is. Although I do think Jon Snow he's ahead by a nose, just because of the whole kissed by fire thing. And, the woman, well, the wife being the warm one who's sacrificed so that he can reach his full power.
I personally kind of like the Victorian one. I like his, because he's got salt and smoke and kissed by fire, avoiding death kind of thing, and it just appears to be generally people who hang around with R'hllor servants. So I don't know, and I'm pretty sure R'hllor is the one kind of potent god in this universe, seemingly.
Oh, definitely. I mean, because you've got shadow babies.
Yeah.
Back in Clash of Kings, you got shadow babies.
Shadow babies. That is a good.
Yeah. Well, I did think, like, at the start of A Dance with Dragons, like, back in part 1, there was a lot of emphasis, I felt, on the mythology of R'hllor, and with, like, the burning of Mance Rayder, and, when they captured Asha Greyjoy, I was thinking, like, oh, she's definitely gonna get burned, because she's the blood of the king of the Iron Islands. Sort of, but yeah, I thought there was going to be a lot more emphasis on the sacrificing of kings and like burning as many kings as they possibly can.
True. Well, that's one thing that kind of bugged me, because how they talk about, like, at one point they imply that Stannis killed Robb and Joffrey and Balon, don't they?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is weird because because the ritual they say is done with such ease that it's like, well, if that worked, why aren't you knocking off the west of Westeros?
Yeah, because
Because
he does that with his own blood, doesn't he?
yeah, exactly, and I think that kind of devalued the whole thing to imply that he had a hand in doing that because yeah, that implies he's got like shadow babies times 1,000 from afar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's implied, but it could just be a coincidence.
Well, I think it is a coincidence because that's the only way that makes it. Because otherwise he'd be doing that 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, because like with Joffrey and Robb Stark,
Balon.
well, with Joffrey and
Oh,
Robb Stark, like those are like these things are products of like pre-existing conditions. Like it was inevitable that they would die. But
well,
Balon falling off a bridge, I think that's what makes people stop and go, oh, maybe there's something to this.
well, arguably Balon is a pre-existing condition as well because people think it was a plot by Euron.
Yeah, but
So,
how is Euron gonna blow Balon off a bridge when he's not even there?
well, he apparently has a mystical magic ship, doesn't he? So, and he's been in the foreign lands doing foreign magic and stuff, and he's got sorcerers. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, he's got sorcerers, but like, I don't know, because well, I'm not sure how Halor derives its power. Maybe it's different for different priests. But like, I don't know how Euron would get hold of like a king's blood or something like that to be able to
well,
just blap someone from afar.
one of the theories is that he hired a faceless man to do it, and
Oh.
that's the reason he doesn't have his dragon egg anymore. Because they do it in like value proceedings. Because his excuse is he threw it in the water because he was pissed off, but that doesn't that doesn't seem very plausible. Or if it does,
That's an
then
interesting
he's a Mong.
theory.
So.
Yeah.
Because no, Euron sounds way too together and with it to just get annoyed at a dragon's egg and throw it in the water.
Yeah, but Euron's just such a badass, but also obviously deranged.
True.
This makes him a perfect storm.
There's also some theories that he never travelled anywhere, and that's the reason everyone's silent. So they don't blow it that they've never been. He's just kind of sailed around the west bit, and it's all lies. But that makes it significant, and that also doesn't explain the sorcerers and stuff. But I like the idea that he might be a bit of a fake, because they always say that he's done like impossible things.
Well, sorcerers seem pretty common on the like Volantis and stuff. But,
True.
I don't know, because where did he get that horn?
Well, indeed, this is the thing. I mean, a lot of his stuff would need to be kind of lies and stuff, and the horn's been proved to have some potency, hasn't it? Or is it about to be?
Well, I mean, because he blows the horn when they're on the Iron Islands, and I think that's like roughly the same time as Drogon escapes from Meereen.
Oh,
And I don't know if those are connected because Drogon just fucks off and like lives on his rock and is totally fine, and it doesn't really have any interest of going to where the horn is. But
yeah,
or
that's
maybe
a
he's
good
just
point.
waiting.
Well, yeah, because the Drogon returns, doesn't he? So we've gone a bit far east. Actually,
Yeah,
no. You need to bring it on back. So Mance Rayder and the letter. I think we should probably talk about the whole Stannis Baratheon thing because I love Stannis Baratheon. I think he's the king. But
Well, yeah, Stannis is obviously a beast. I mean, because if what's his name? If Aegon, little Aegon, wasn't alive, then like Stannis has like the sort of the unbroken lineage to Aegon the Conqueror, doesn't he?
well, Daenerys technically, but yes, because if you're talking about the whole like in the same way Robert Baratheon had the claim, then yeah, because of the great grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
And yeah, like some of the things that like they say in King's Landing towards the end of Dance with Dragons, I think it's in the epilogue actually when Kevin Lannister is talking to Mace Tyrell, and he's saying like well, if Cersei is proven guilty of adultery, then we all lose all our claims to be anywhere near the throne. And then that would make Stannis like the accepted. Well, I mean, he'd have the support of the faith,
yeah.
much, but that would make Stannis the like bona fide Iron Throne ruler and
True.
just walk into it.
Well, this is the thing, because obviously now there is a one revealed Targaryen on the field and one unrevealed as well, which complicates it. But no, I agree that Stannis has the best claim from non-nuts houses.
Yeah, I mean, because like, I think what the books do, which is quite interesting, like because like between a Game of Thrones and a Clash of Kings, like the reader, like we're all on Ed Stark's side, and we're like, oh yeah, down with the Lannisters, and so like from Ed Stark's perspective, Stannis like is sort of inherits our like Ed Stark favored biases because he's Ed Stark's king.
Yeah,
But then it's quite interesting how in the books they play off that by like Stannis talking about how he doesn't really like Ed Stark very much.
well, yeah. This was the thing. I mean, one of the reasons Ed Stark died was because he refused to support Renly because he believed in Stannis so much. But Stannis still just views the Starks as more traitors.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's almost annoying. It's almost like it disserves to Ed's memory. Not that, I mean, Ed had it coming anyway because he couldn't intrigue for shit. But I don't know. I mean, when it comes to the whole like, well, not Joffrey anymore. When it comes to Tommen and that being proved illegitimate, then I guess it's just basically going to come down to strength of arms. Because even if the trial is a success for Cersei's adultery, then it's not like the remaining Lannisters and Tyrells are going to relinquish the capital and all that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I think Cersei will definitely like be proven innocent, just because in 2 books isn't long enough to overhaul the entire King's Court and then have more shit happen.
Indeed. Well, that's one thing I really like, actually. The way the King's Court, the kind of council, and the King's Guard all get steadily diluted as the pretenders kind of struggle between themselves.
Yeah,
like,
I find it kind of sad, because like at the start you go like, yeah, King's Guard, they're like the elite warriors, they're gonna like get shit done, and then by the end it's just
political appointments and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing though. I think the more the King's Guard becomes diluted, and the more you hear about the old King's Guard from like Jaime Lannister, the more you realise that even the King's Guard at the beginning of Game of Thrones was significantly more terrible than the one under even Aerys. I think that's quite interesting because it makes you feel
had badasses all the way.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you feel like the kind of like Baratheon pretender line is somewhat pretendery, which annoys me because I kind of want. I mean, Baratheon or Targaryen on the throne? Which would you prefer by the end of this?
Well, I mean, because like I think in terms of like the sort of smoothness and the elegance of the plot, it doesn't really matter to me because the Baratheons are Targaryens. So.
Oh, I see. I still view them as quite distinct, but that's because I think I really latched onto that line where Robert's like, "Oh, they invented a way for me to be king or whatever." But no, I see your point because the only reason he was able to rule was because of the grandmother connection. So that's a good point.
Well, is it to do with Egg and?
Yeah, it is. It's Egg because Egg let his children marry for love. And so consequently, they didn't intermarry as Targaryens do. So consequently, there was a claim that Baratheon could exploit in true Crusader King style.
Yeah, because like, there's one of the spin-off novels is about Egg, isn't it?
4 of them.
Oh shit.
There's 4 prequels all involving Duncan Egg, and I believe he's making a 5th. And then soon they're collecting them and releasing them because obviously they know they can make a shit ton of money off Game of Thrones prequels.
Yeah, clearly.
Which I want to read them, and they're currently really expensive because obviously they were released when no one knew who George R. R. Martin was. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading them. The next one is called The Wolves of Winterfell, and I think it chronicles Ed Stark's granddad. Because it's all 100 years before Game of Thrones. Yeah. But Duncan Egg are up there, because I think they went like a gap year. I think that's what they're doing for this entire thing. Because they're just in different places. But obviously he's royalty, and Dunk is a knight. I think he becomes one of the King's Guard. Actually, we might as well talk about that. There's a theory going around that Dunk is related to Brienne. Is like a descendant.
Do I know enough about Dunk to be able to decide?
Dunk is tall and blonde. That's what we know.
Okay.
And it's like Brienne makes some comments like you remember she's like looking for a shield, and she recognizes one of the emblems on the shield,
Yes.
and she takes it. Well, that emblem is of Dunk's house, and that
Ah.
there's things like that. It's typical George R. R. Martin kind
Yeah,
of
so-
throwaway details kind of.
But yeah, to answer your question, I do support Stannis' claim to an extent, but I like John Connington enough that I'm happy if Aegon gets it.
True. I mean, were you sold by Varys' thing about how Aegon is the perfect king, or will be the perfect king, because he was raised as a commoner and all that?
I thought it was interesting. I kind of agree, but I also think that Varys has an ulterior motive.
Oh, definitely. Though I think Varys is definitely a Targaryen loyalist. Or possibly an
yeah.
Illyrio loyalist.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's something between them that's yet to emerge. In the first 4 books, I was absolutely convinced that... No, in the first 3 books, I was absolutely convinced that Varys was a skin changer, and that's how he got all his secrets, was he would turn into, say, a spider, Varys the spider, and sneak up on people, listen to their secrets, and so on. But then at the end of Dance of Dragons, they just bring in his little child army. Maybe he's skin changing the children. maybe. But yeah, that just seems to validate what Illyrio said about him just buying children and putting them in the walls.
True. Well, yeah, I like the idea. I don't know. I think because I always figured that because they always talk about Varys made himself seem like he was indispensable, but Cersei thinks that other guy, what's he called? Quigley? What's he called? This is embarrassing. The surgeon guy. The brother guy. The guy he was originally part of the Vargo Hote cohort, and then
Qyburn.
Yeah, Qyburn. Yeah. The way he took over the role and apparently did it fairly well and stuff like that. And I don't know, that kind of devaluated Varys for me a bit, but I definitely agree that he has got some sort of big master plan in the same vein that Littlefinger has a big master plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything went to shit when Varys disappeared. That's when things got really bad.
True.
Cersei, was trying to get Marjorie, and Marjorie was trying to get Cersei, and they both destroy each other, and Cersei gives the Faith back their army.
Oh god, that was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And she was like, I love the way even she was like, "Oh, I'm so smart. I've just got rid of all the debt, and now we have an army." It's like,
oh
nope.
yeah, I'm so smart. I'm so smart.
See, what do you think of Cersei? Because I personally go with the Tyrion school of thought that she's just an imbecile who thinks she's smart, but I've been called sexist for this. So
well, I mean, weirdly enough, in the TV show, she's way more interesting. Especially when she's at the end of season 2, when she's gonna poison Tommen and Myrcella.
Yeah.
And when she's sitting in the room with Sansa, and talking
about death and all that, and
well, talking about how she and Jaime are the same, and up until the sort of the male and female attributes of them started to come through. She thought that she was gonna be a knight just like Jaime, and that they thought she thought they would just grow up to be the same. But then as soon as she became a woman and he became a man, she ended up in this sort of horrible, misogynistic life of servitude. And Jaime ended up being a Knight of the Kingsguard.
True, that is actually that's very true. Cersei never really has such a good character development in the.
Yeah,
well, actually, I don't know, because she thinks to herself quite a lot like that. But I guess because she's never voicing it to anyone, it doesn't kind of ring true.
Yeah, well, Cersei is definitely a lot more shallow in the books, and she is just absolutely irredeemably vile.
True. Well, it was the thing she did to the musician guy that really got to me. Just when she just kind of went mental and started torturing him.
Oh yeah, but I mean, because Qyburn and Ramsay Bolton, the sadists, are
Hmm.
just the best characters. It's like you know that there's something horrible going on, and you just can't wait to find out what it is.
True. Actually, yeah, let's bring it back up north for Ramsay Bolton because we missed that. We missed that out. So
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
he's written a nasty letter, or has he?
well, if we can just talk about Ramsay for a minute. I like Ramsay. I think it's not his fault that he's a psychopath and a sadist. He's just doing what comes naturally.
No, yeah, I think I think Ramsay's an interesting as hell character, and I really like his kind of yeah. I guess it's an MO. Kind of, yeah. I mean, be a dick, assemble a bunch of really nasty men, and travel the north. The hunting thing, especially, like when Theon was reliving that,
Yeah.
is pretty harrowing.
Well, it's a very clever way of controlling people, convincing them that they can't trust anyone other than yourself.
Dude, it's like Stockholm syndrome, but less grassroots and more imposed.
Yeah, it's like hardwired Stockholm syndrome. But yeah, the letter at the end of Dance with Dragons, very aggressive to Jon Snow. Although obviously at this point, I'm taking Jon Snow for dead. Either that or he's going to get resurrected. Yeah, like very aggressive towards Jon Snow. That seems to be the main thrust of it. But Jon Snow's dead, so that all sort of pales into insignificance. And he knows about Mance Rayder. I think it could well be Mance Rayder, as you said.
I think, yeah. Mance Rayder seems to make the most sense to me. I mean, because it's either that or he knows about Mance Rayder. And if he knows about Mance Rayder, then Mance Rayder's basically dead. So, and I think there's too much of a story going on with him. I also think it's kind of strange because surely if Stannis' armies have been destroyed through several days of battle or whatever, then he doesn't need to do all this because he can easily get his bride back. I mean, they've got horses, the bride and that are in the snow. There's nothing holding them back anymore because Stannis' army's dead. Like, the entire letter seems really schizophrenic in what it's asking for.
Yeah, it seems that the Karstark guy has already sent the map, and so Ramsay's just going to come and find them, presumably, and like kill everyone. But I don't know, did they even fight?
Well, this is the thing, because we don't know when. This is why I told you it's mind-blowing, because you don't... Well, not mind... I guess mind-blowing is the wrong word. It's confusing, because we don't know what period of time that Stannis conversation happens in. We don't know if that is before or after the letter. We don't know if that's just before Stannis' untimely death, or whether this is all, just this is just the timeline continuing as normal. It's really strange. But it's, it's like a strategic preview chapter, which is sneaky.
Yeah. Well, this is George R.R. at his finest.
Indeed, he's just knowing how much you're going to speculate about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably because I mean all the important characters are still alive. So I think probably Stannis hasn't fought them yet in that chapter. And
so you think Stannis does lose? Or do you think?
I think Ramsay is lying.
Okay.
And Stannis has just found a nice place to hole up because it explains why Theon hears the war horn when he's on the walls at Winterfell. Because it was just one of the Umbers like trying to kill loads of Freys for some reason. I forget.
Sure. Oh well, yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to kill Freys at this point?
Yeah,
I did really like that when Hostine Frey gets owned. No, the other one gets owned. One who's not Hostine. Aerys?
Anus. Anus.
one of the ones named after Targaryens, which I really like. I like the way they kind of steal the names of all the other houses. I think
I like it up to a point, but I do think that George R. R. Martin ran out of names.
I do.
Ran out of made-up names.
Yeah, I think they were being like coy because those ones are only named after the Targaryens start to lose power, and it's kind of like they've lost the right to their names.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like it.
I suppose it does like slightly like drive home the cheekiness of the phrase.
Yeah,
they're a cheeky bunch.
No, well, they are. I mean, I don't know. I like I mean, you know me, I like reading the little appendix at the back with all the names in it, and I just like watching increasing amount of phrase names get little crosses next to them. It's a rewarding pastime. So Merit Frey didn't deserve to go.
he was pretty cool.
He was a good Frey. But Bolton, Stannis, Melisandre, what do you think she's doing at the wall?
Well, I mean, because she's gotten quite close to Jon Snow.
Sure.
So I think she's gonna use whatever magic Thoros of Myr uses on Beric Dondarrion, and bring him back to life.
Yeah, I agree.
He'll be the chosen one, presumably. Have you read the insane theory about Jon Snow being Rhaegar Targaryen's son?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's quite a prominent one. I think it's true.
Yeah, I mean, when I say insane, I mean like.
Oh
my god, I never realised.
True. Yeah. Yeah. It even has like its own abbreviation now. I mean, it's like R plus L equal J or something.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's
perhaps you can paraphrase it for the benefit of the listeners.
Okay, well, basically, the thing is that Eddard Stark, during his kind of closing chapters, refers to the Tower of Joy, which was a scene where him and 7 of his Northmen commanders went and liberated Lyanna, his sister, from a tower in Martell Dawnlands called the Tower of Joy, and it was being guarded by 3 of the Kingsguard. And the general kind of consensus is that whatever they were guarding must have been incredibly important, more so than just Lyanna. And so the idea is that Rhaegar and Lyanna had a son, and that son was Jon Snow, and that this is the reason. So therefore, Eddard Stark never had his uncharacteristic affair, which in a way makes him even more tragic, I think.
That makes him more awesome.
Well, no, but but the fact he had to live that lie, I mean. Definitely awesome. It makes him a paragon, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so consequently, that Jon Snow then fits yet another one of the prophecy things, which is that the chosen one will come from the line of Aerys II and his wife. So it all fits together quite beautifully, if that's true. It also is one of the things that the people who are proponents of Daenerys and Jon Snow getting together use quite a lot. It means that they're Targaryens together. Because
that is a ridiculous ship.
Well, they want him to be one of the 3 dragons, dragon riders.
Ah, right, yeah.
There's also...
you've got, you've got your 3, because you've got Aegon, Jon, and Daenerys. So...
Well, some aren't happy with that, because there's another one that's similar to R plus L equals J, involving Tyrion. Slightly more ridiculous. No. Because, well, there's this thing where Aerys fancied Tywin's wife, if you remember.
Yeah.
And there's a thing that might be, one of the reasons that Tywin has such loathing towards him, etc., is that Tyrion might be descended from that whole kind of thing. But it's all very unlikely. It might also be the reason that Tywin hated Aerys so much, etc., and was willing to kind of sack and kill. But, yeah, that one has less grounds on it than the Jon Snow one. By far. I think the Jon Snow one is basically accepted at this point. If it's not true, I'm going to be amazed. I think it's at that point.
Well, it's too perfect, which makes me think it's so perfect that it can't be true.
Oh, I see.
It would be a shame if the theory sleuths had solved it and just basically spoiled it for us by working it out before we could.
True. Though I came to this conclusion in conversation, but then again, I'm assuming at that point Tom had probably looked into it. So, but yeah, no, I agree. But I don't know. I wouldn't be annoyed if we found out and it was true, because I would. I mean, that's a really interesting idea. You know, especially Jon Snow being in a very good position to be king.
Yeah. Well, it would make him directly the first in line. Wait, yes, no, Aegon. He's older than Aegon.
Oh yeah, shit, he is. Yeah, in that case, he would, and they did get married, didn't they? Because that was like one of the,
Oh yeah.
Shotgun wedding or whatever the equivalent is in medieval times.
But yeah, I mean, I was saying it back in book 2 I was just begging for Jon Snow to somehow become the king.
Yeah, everyone really loves Jon Snow. I mean, I don't think I've ever quite felt it as much as most people, but people really do.
Well, I mean, obviously he's the underdog, but
True.
like he's
Lucky.
just he's a nice guy to everyone.
True. Yeah, I get. Yeah, especially Sam, who's one of the George R. R. Martin author inserts.
Yeah, and like sort of, I think Jon Snow like we want him to succeed because he's everything that the system hates. Like
True.
he's precisely the counterpoint to sort of the pageantry and like all the like gold and honor and Lannisters and stuff.
True. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it's the same kind of like Tyrion syndrome, though Tyrion's obviously slightly more imbued in it, but it's the kind of you like the characters who have been rejected. Same with Arya, I guess. He didn't fit into the system.
Well, shall we talk about Arya? Are we done with the North?
Yeah, and Arya's kind of, Bravos is pretty North.
Yeah, it is.
But I don't know, I mean, I didn't like the Arya chapters by the end of it.
Yeah, I think she's gotten really fucking boring.
Unless they're building up to something really cool, like she's... But even then, the only thing this can really end in is that she becomes a ninja, and I'm not really interested in her becoming a ninja.
Yeah, because, I mean, the problem with it is that, like, in Westeros and Essos, or Slaver's Bay, whatever, like, everyone is connected, and, like, everyone is, like two interesting characters are always coming together, and like they do something happens, there are consequences for some other character, like the cycle continues. But in Bravos it's just an absolute vacuum, and like it's just her just milling about doing all this assassin training.
The closest we get is when she meets Sam, and that was tenuous because that just like. Because I guess you'd been in the vacuum for so long, and we were going to be in the vacuum for even longer. They just felt really strange that Sam just wandered by.
Yeah, well, I mean, she kills the other Night's Watch.
Yeah, the guy who betrays them. I can't remember what he's called.
Yeah, I forget what knock-on effect that has.
Only for her, and it's just that she has to give up that persona.
Oh right, yeah.
Because Sam had already left in like despair or whatever by the time he died in the boating accident or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, there's not really much more to talk about Arya. I mean, I guess where she's going is that she becomes a faceless woman or man. I don't know if it's a gender-neutral title.
One of the things I don't like about her chapters now is that like nothing that she is. Well, the entire reason she wanted to like become an assassin is so she can kill the people she wants to kill, right? Or have I misinterpreted that?
No, that's my understanding of it as well.
Yeah, but part of her training requires her to relinquish all of the grudges and like her identity from before. So she's just falling into this black hole where like she isn't related to any of the events going on in Westeros, and she has no vested interest in any of the events going on in Westeros. So I don't know what the point of her is. She better do something fucking epic. She's gonna have to kill a dragon or something.
Well, I guess the idea of it is that she's trying to get the guys to teach her all the cool stuff, and then she wants to hold on to the hate, and use it, which would be interesting enough. Because if nothing else, then I really want to know how this whole faceless group works. Because we've basically only got Jaqen H'ghar, who turned around and killed the pig boy guy, and then what?
Well, Jaqen H'ghar was I really liked him in the show, really liked him in the book, but the way he changed his face doesn't actually seem to be the same way as Arya changes her face when she's training in Dance with Dragons. Because Jaqen H'ghar just like waves over his face and he's like, "Yep, I'm different now." But Arya like has the sort of priest guy like cut her face and then graft a new face onto it, and then seal it with magic or whatever.
Well, maybe you get better at it. Maybe it becomes more effortless. But you're right. That was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's implying. Like, did he cut her whole face off? But I don't know. I thought the description where she talks about hands gripping her neck and she reaches up and nothing's there. I thought that was really cool.
Well, there's some good description in the chapters. I mean, they're not bad chapters per se. They're just unrelated. I mean, they're like Bran chapters.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, who's the worst Stark sibling now?
Yeah.
Because I mean, at least Rob and Rickon didn't have the fucking temerity to make us read their chapters.
True, though Rickon, we should probably get onto Rickon after Bran, because there's some theories about him as well you'd probably like to hear. But
Cool.
Bran is probably one slightly better than Arya in the sense that he's at least on the same continent, and they might be building something, and you know, that Raven's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, they're building something ridiculously, because this has like been going on since the first book.
Yeah,
like,
well,
not like Rihalor turning up in Clash of Kings, like Johnny come lately, please.
No, true. This is whatever Bran's training is going to be. It's going to be good. There's a really and Jojen, like whatever's happening with him and his teachings.
Oh, I don't know, with Jojen, like, because Mira's really cool. Like, obviously, like Bran and Mira, like, maybe when he's older, but Jojen is just such a fucking tag along, and he's not there for like comedy value like Hodor is.
Well, do you want to know a theory about Jojen? Because you know Bran.
Yeah, go on.
Do you know Bran has that paste, like near the end?
Oh, what, the like weirwood
Yeah,
pastes?
and it's like Jojen's not around. Well, one of the theories is that the paste is Jojen.
Whoa.
And that like because he's getting weaker and weaker and stuff, and he keeps like, if you look back at it, there's some things he says about that kind of stuff, about like his training and things, and like one of the theories is that Jojen's like sacrificed himself, been fucking meshed up to be eaten.
That's fucking grim.
Yeah, but equally, like, you know, it's plausible, sadly enough.
Yeah, it is plausible. But I don't know why you would read that chapter and read that into it.
Well, indeed. But the guy had a pretty convincing argument. I'll find it for you after all this is over. I might link it at the bottom of the page as well.
Yeah.
Probably should do that, actually, with the theories we've got, if we can find them. But no, I agree. I think at this point, though, he might have just been trying to look for a meaning for Jojen, because other than the kind of gateway green seer, then there wasn't much point in him.
Yeah, because he's been he's convinced himself and convinced Mira and Bran that he has to be there, but he obviously doesn't, because he contributes nothing and just eats all the food.
Indeed, he's steadily weaker. But you know, like Frodo and Sam, maybe the preferable alternative was to mash Frodo up into a paste and eat him. It would have solved a lot.
Yeah, I guess so.
But no,
yeah, because like green seeing is quite a common inherited Children of the Forest trait, isn't it? Like, people just have that.
Yeah,
by accident.
that's why it's more prominent in the north as well, because obviously they're more inbred or interbred with the children.
Yeah, I do like how like that sort of like genetic mythology starts to emerge.
Yeah, it's quite cool. I like, because it's migration theory as well, like the way, you know, they all got pushed up and stuff and around, and yeah, it's.
Yeah, and the fact that like they sort of, well, George R. R. Martin, he draws a line at the north because of Moat Cailin, and like he actually he like gives a perfectly rational explanation for why they would be different to the Southrons.
True. Though the neck is below where the swampland is below Moat Cailin, though I guess that's geographically the swamp being hard to get into as well, and those people being isolated and mysterious.
But yeah, because like, even though did the Reeds go to war with Robb?
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, like, even
because they fought against Victorion, didn't they? Because he's like, I was fighting those swamp devils for months.
Right. Yeah.
Which was a bit racist, really. Swamp devils.
Yeah. But yeah. So like, even with them weakened, like the Greyjoys couldn't conquer them.
No.
So yeah, I like.
Oh yeah, well, it's like the shifting castle. I mean, that's one thing. I've been telling people this. I really want to meet Howland Reed, because he's one of the few things that will be able to explain the Tower of Joy and the Swamp People and probably Jojen. And he's just, if we don't ever meet Howland Reed, I'm going to be really annoyed.
Yeah, and Howland Reed is such a cool name as well.
Yeah.
It sounds like the title of like maybe like a young fiction spy novel.
Definitely. Yeah, he's just, I don't know, he's got so many like things because he's the only well, now he's the only survivor of the Tower of Joy, which is a pretty eerie title, and just kind of yeah.
I thought Barristan Selmy was there.
No, because he would have been a Kingsguard. Remember, he surrendered at the Ruby River after Rhaegar was killed. Ruby Ford, sorry.
Interjection.
Ooh.
I have a theory about the Ruby Ford.
Go on.
Well, there's two things. One, the first of which I've read on the wiki, so you've probably heard of it, about how, like, essentially, if Rhaegar was Azor Ahai, then, like, Robert sort of broke fate by killing him, and, like, has doomed Westeros, which maybe will be the event that triggers the doom, just like happened to Valyria.
Yeah. I like the idea of fate being broken.
Yeah, but yeah, my other thing about the rubies is that when Brienne, I think, or it might be Pod or someone, does Pod ever get a POV?
No.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Why is Pod still in it? But actually, doesn't he get hung by Cat Stark?
Well, they begin to hang him.
Yeah, but Brienne survives, but no one ever mentions Pod again.
True, but it's implied that they were both saved by what Brienne said because Brienne lived. They wouldn't have just hung Pod. I think Brienne would have been pretty annoyed at that.
I would have hung Pod.
Well, but go on.
Yeah, so like when Brienne's like messing around in the Crown Lands, talking to the Septon, they find like a Septon place.
Yep. Quiet Isles.
Yeah, like he talks about how he's found like he's found like the rubies off of Rhaegar's armor washing up on his like riverbed.
Yeah.
And it's something like he's found all but one.
Mm.
And like so Rhaegar is like obviously closely tied to the whole like fire theme. And like maybe the rubies have some kind of power, like that either was deliberately put there on his armor or derives from some kind of like more ancient sorcery that's just sort of lingered on. And so maybe the one missing ruby is the thing that has been drawn so much attention to throughout all the books, which is Melisandre's ruby.
Oh yeah, that thing. That's a nice one. I like that. I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything.
Well, no, not yet, but it could do. I mean...
Yeah, I do sort of have a theory about Melisandre as well. If I may.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so this is to do with Quaithe.
Ah, yes.
Obviously we all love Quaithe, because she's so mysterious.
Nothing better than not developing a character to make it mysterious.
Yeah, so like Quaithe wears a mask all the time.
Mm.
I don't know if we ever see like her eyes or anything, but maybe, just maybe, Melisandre has much as the House of Black and White steals faces, maybe Melisandre has stolen Quaithe's face, and there's a point when she's talking about how she turned Mance Rayder into Rattleshirt, where she says oh, it's just like the sort of the little things that make the glamour work. Like it might be like a bag of finger bones or like armor made of bones or whatever. So maybe the ruby belonged to Quaithe, and that's part of her mirage.
Oh, I see. So you're not saying they're the same person?
No.
No. Okay. So in this one, it's no longer Rhaegar's ruby either, or is it originally from there, then Quaithe's?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Melisandre would even get the ruby from the Ruby Ford, but it's just an idea that, the one ruby that's missing that the Septon is collecting, is Quaithe's, and by extension Melisandre's, and she uses it as part of the glamour.
That would be the glamour was something that I think raised quite a lot of questions because it was like not the first concrete magic thing we've seen Melisandre do, but it was the first kind of, Yeah,
well, like when she says about like the bag of finger bones.
Oh yeah.
That sends shivers up your spine. It makes you go, oh, when might it have not been Davos? When Like, when has this been used? But then you realise, oh, it couldn't possibly have been used because he lost them.
Indeed, it's quite sad. Quickly to go back to the Quiet Isles, because there's one more thing that needs to be discussed there. Is have you heard the one about the Hound still being alive? Sounds like a bad joke.
I think the Hound is still alive.
Yeah, but do you know who he is?
What, the Hound?
Yeah, 'cause
Oh,
he
he's
appears
someone.
he appears on screen during the Quiet or on page during the Quiet Isles chapter. Reportedly, if the theory is correct. Because you know the head septon of the Quiet Isles is like, oh, I found the Hound, and the Hound is dead.
I
etc.
don't remember that, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, well, okay, he does, and he's like, oh, I found him by the road, and he's gone, his spirit is no more, etc. Well, he only ever refers to the Hound being dead, not who'd you call it? Not his actual name. It escapes me right now.
Sandor Clegane?
Sandor. Damn it, that's terrible. It's been too long. Anyway, but while Brienne's there, she notices like a really tall intern guy, not intern, but septon guy, like brother digging, and he also sees the hounds. She also sees the hound's horse, and the big guy also has a limp and is like pretty fucked up. But it's only like a passing statement. But it could be that he's because he talks about like the hound's rage being gone and the hound being dead, but never Sandor.
Right,
And it's the kind of idea that either he's genuinely converted or he's laying low. I can't imagine he's actually given up the ghost and given up fighting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think that's ever going to get resolved. It's too small of a thing.
True. Well, I guess it's a kind of I suppose. I imagine he won't come back, and it's just implied that if you want to, he lived happily, or at least not angrily. But you never know. I mean, with all the Sansa stuff going on, which I think we should probably get onto soon, then
the one missing. Well, I mean, we haven't talked about Rickon. Shall
we
do Sansa first or Rickon first?
Rickon first, because Rickon's a lot more conjecture than Sansa.
Okay.
There's a scene when Bran senses that Rickon's wolf is fighting a unicorn. Do you remember that?
Which book is this in?
The last one, the one with the one with all the Bran chapters in Dance with Dragons, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a thing where where they sense Rickon's wolf is fighting, and they sense that it's fighting a unicorn, I think. And Davos has been sent to find Rickon.
Has he? I thought he just.
Yeah, because remember
Davos. I don't know what Davos is doing.
With Davos, you remember because Wyman Manderley pretends to kill Davos.
Yes.
And then brings him the little squire boy who saw Rickon go. Yeah.
Yeah.
He then says to Davos, "If you can get Rickon, then we'll join Stannis because you'll have a rightful heir of the North." Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay,
he then points to a map, and Davos says that something along the lines of any cannibals live there, or something. Yeah. Which is heavily implied he's going to Skargos, which is
it's coming back to me now. Yeah.
Yeah. And equally, Rickon, the Rickon wolf thing that Bran says also implies Skargos, because one of the few things we know about it is it's kind of like an Icelandic whaler society where unicorns live and cannibals are. And so we can basically assume that Rickon has somehow managed to get across the sea to Skargos, and that is where Davos is going as well. And so that is probably what's going to happen in Book 6 in regards to him finding Rickon.
Oh, I see.
So,
yeah, I was wondering, because Davos was left as a bit of a...
Yeah, cliffhanger.
Yeah, because he's not in part 2 at all, I don't think.
We discover he's not dead, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the theory of where Davos is and Rickon is going, that's all that stuff. Though I'm guessing that will have to be resolved pretty quickly, because he's got to get Rickon, get him back down to Wyman Manderley so they can start the actual fight soon. So,
yeah, this is true. Yeah, he's running out of time.
He really is. I don't know how, I mean, people are just going to have to start appearing in places and being like, yep, done that. That was fun. But yes, speaking of people who really need to do stuff before these books end, that labyrinthine Littlefinger plot that's going on, I really want that to work.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's already...
Well, of the Trueborn Starks, Sansa was the best at the start. She was the best all the way through, and she's still the best. But why isn't she in Dance with Dragons Part 2?
Yeah, I know. Why has she not appeared since Feast of Crows? It's the biggest travesty so far. Seriously, why is Little... Because Littlefinger, he technically owns the Riverlands. He owns the Vale. He has a claim to Winterfell. He's got 3 out of 7 kingdoms. Just needs to hurry up.
How does he own the Riverlands?
Remember, he's Lord Paramount of the Riverlands now.
Oh yeah.
He's officially in charge. It's in title, none of them really recognize him. You know what I mean? He's got the pieces of paper that say he's in charge of the Riverlands. Because he owns Harrenhal now, doesn't he? He rules from Harrenhal. It's not Riverrun anymore.
Yeah.
Because the Freys own Riverrun. The shit Frey, Emmett or something, who kept saying that he owned the place.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That was some funny. I really like those Jamie Lannister chapters where he's just touring the Riverlands are pretty good.
Yeah, I think Jamie Lannister has become one of the best characters.
Mm.
Just like going around solving land disputes.
Yeah.
Just being an all-round good lord.
With like the only troops left in the Riverlands that haven't been fighting for months or years. But the Vale, Littlefinger, like Hugh, not Hugh, whatever he's called, the little boy. No, not little, but Harold the heir, Harry the heir,
yeah.
all that stuff. Like when that kicks off, it's going to be cool because I've been really looking forward to the Vale getting involved.
Well, I think this is something that needs to be unraveled because is Sansa going to marry Harry the heir, or
Yes.
is Sansa going to marry Littlefinger?
No, Sansa's going to marry Harry the heir because
Okay,
Harry
so what will that accomplish for Littlefinger?
Well, because when Harry the heir and Sansa are wed, then, as he says, the Lord of the Vales will all clamour to regain her hold on the north. So potentially, you're going to get an entirely new army riding up to the north to fight. Is Littlefinger's plan?
But then once Sansa has the north,
Then the idea is that Sansa's eternally grateful to Littlefinger, and Littlefinger can continue to cement his. Well, I'm assuming he plans to take over everything at this point because, he's pretty much appearing at the end game because he's soon about to openly defy the crown.
well,
That's the
does
thing.
he want to take over everything, or does he just have
Major
sort
Hots for
of
Sansa or something?
Yeah, non-self-interested reasons because he's obviously obsessed with the Tullys.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. It's the way he talks about it, because he talks about it quite openly. The idea of Sansa getting it back, him having the Riverlands and the Vale, etc. And kind of, I don't know. There's one of my friends pushes the theory that Sansa will probably kill Littlefinger at some point, and if she does, I'll be very annoyed. But equally, he kind of had it coming.
Well, yeah, because out of all the relatives of Sansa who have died, Littlefinger has been responsible for almost all of them.
True, but she doesn't know that, and I hope she never finds out because I really like Littlefinger. I think he's one of the most interesting characters. He does really interesting things, and he's behind a hell of a lot. I get that he's a bit simplistic when it comes to Sansa, but that seems to be his weakness, which annoyingly will therefore probably be his undoing.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's too clever in the Game of Thrones.
But I know, like I said, I kind of want him to pull through, but I don't think he will, annoyingly.
Because if there's no way that House Arryn or the Vale is gonna, it would have to be the Vale, is gonna stay neutral for the whole series.
Well, no, because I'm assuming they're about to go kick the Bolton's ass. Is the next, if the marriage plan works, which it seems to be working. From that last chapter where he describes the plan, he seems to have planned it pretty meticulously.
Well, doesn't Tyrion have to be dead first?
I remember. I thought there was a thing where he mentioned that it could be illegitimate. No, because he's not. Oh shit! I don't know. Because the idea is that she's revealed as Sansa, and then because at the moment she's not. I don't know. I don't think so though. Also, isn't Tyrion assumed dead, or at least ran away?
I don't know, because according to the throne, because I don't know, Cersei's convinced that Tyrion is alive and orchestrating all of the shit that's going down.
True, but Cersei doesn't. Cersei's not a moral authority anymore, thankfully.
That's true, yeah.
I don't know.
I would think that Tyrion would have to be dead, properly dead.
I think, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think they'll probably overlook it in the case of that because she can say she was coerced or whatever quite easily. And I think Sansa's going to play the Littlefinger's game in terms of marrying Harry because obviously that's the best chance of getting Winterfell back, which I assume is what she wants. She probably doesn't even know what she wants, to be fair.
Yeah, well, she probably just wants people to stop marrying her.
True, but you know, sometimes being married is all you've got, as Cersei said.
Yeah, I mean, because well, I mean, the only place that her character really has to go is like standing up for herself and being a player rather than a piece.
True.
Because I would presume that she spends so much time around Littlefinger that she learns how to manipulate people and ends up, as you say, becoming Littlefinger's undoing.
True. I don't know. I don't want it to happen.
I think it has to happen.
Ugh, tedious. Yeah, I'm gonna miss having Aidan Gillian on my screen all the time. Fair enough. But no, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to the Vale getting involved. Perhaps this is a good point to go to the other kingdom that hasn't got involved for a billion years, which is Martell. And Duran's increasingly complex plan.
I love Duran. He's such a big softie.
And yet he keeps, you know, I liked his. That's one thing actually. That's one point. That's one thing that made me think that these books aren't going to be able to cover it. Is when he's like, "You're going to go and pretend to be a faith person. You're going to go and pretend to be a, you know, general person or whatever." And it's like, oh, this is going to take so long.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
when he's talking to his daughters or the spears or whatever they're called on what they're going to do. Like, yeah, that is a complex kind of thing he's got going. Like, I don't think we've got enough time to refresh the core intrigue characters.
Well, in Kevin Lannister's epilogue, he talks about how Nymeria is coming to fill the extra seat on the council. So that's like pretty much been set up and that's agreed on.
Yeah.
And I guess they're gonna maybe they'll just poison everyone. Maybe it'll just be like a massive like Death Note like apocalypse, and everyone will be killed.
I was thinking the end of Blackadder in a less culturally artsy way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, well, this is the thing. I mean, how far is Doran Martell willing to go in the destruction of them? Because to begin with, it doesn't seem like very far. But as we kind of get to know him, then it turns out he's pretty much obsessed with this.
Oh yeah, he gets more and more furious as it goes on.
True. I like his quote about how only one Dornish man had died, and was that was that a good thing or a bad thing? Though weirdly, I think at that point his son had just been barbecued, so perhaps two.
Yeah, well,
Quentin. That's a point. I mean, who didn't see? I mean, I think I saw that coming.
Well, this is something that annoys me about the style of the chapter nomenclature in the later books, which you defend the renaming of the chapters, don't you?
I think I told you. I think it annoys me when certain characters do it, but yeah, I think for certain characters it serves a purpose.
Yes, with Reek and Sansa, yes.
Possibly Arya.
But with Quentin.
No, I agree.
Yeah, when at the end, the chapter is called "The Dragon Tamer," which it completely gives away what he's gonna do, what he's gonna try and do. Like, to me, when I was reading it, it gave away what would happen. Like, I was certain that he's gonna tame the dragon now. Like, that's done and dusted then. I mean, the fact that he didn't is obviously a twist. But I just the chapter titles are giving away too much information, and it's not as interesting. Like when you go into a chapter and you know exactly what's going to happen in the chapter.
True, I agree. It also seems a bit cheap that then he didn't tame the dragon because he's not a dragon tamer.
Yeah, they sucked that one out.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, and I agree. I think, sadly enough, I think it's acceptable with Arya as well. But I think that's just because Arya's plot is so disconnected to me that I don't think it can be spoiled because she's just going to do something inane and otherworldly.
Yeah.
But no, I think with Sansa it was an important thing because it showed, you know, if she was being brainwashed or whatever. And I think there'll probably be a lovely little chapter when she suddenly says Sansa again, and she's all stabs Littlefinger in the throat or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Theon becomes Theon again, You
Mm.
go, oh, good for him.
Yeah,
He wasn't so bad.
I mean, Theon is one of the few. He's a character who's definitely been endeared to me by his suffering.
Yeah, well, like Theon is like, well, he's pretty much the same as Sansa. He does what is expected of him, and but that just drives him further down into the pit of like dishonor.
I think he gets it comparatively worse.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the worst Sansa gets is married. The worst, God, what happens to Theon is brutal. So I don't really know where he's gonna go because he's basically not part of the Iron Men story anymore. Like all he really serves as is kind of a like a Stannis tool at this point.
Yeah, because I mean, Stannis's plan was to use Asher as an inroad into controlling the Iron Islands eventually.
Yeah.
Which
Now,
is ages from now. Like, one of the things about Stannis' plan is that he is going to be an old man by the time he sits on the Iron Throne, and it's not going to be worth it.
well, you say that, but that's one thing that really annoyed me about if Stannis is dead, because Stannis has just got funding from the Iron Bank, which is, as we all know, is the thing that makes and breaks kings, and they're about to buy him an army and all that stuff. And then if he does have the audacity to go and die, I'm going to be incredibly pissed off, because the one thing has been he's had no support this entire time. And yeah, that's so annoying if the second the actual Iron Throne defaults on their loans and they go to Stannis to kind of pick up the check, then he dies, then that's just going to be ugh.
Well, I mean, if Stannis does get to the throne, then at least Shireen will inherit it, and Shireen's pretty cool. Like,
Isn't Serene diseased and stuff?
yeah, but she's pretty chilled out about it. She's not gonna die.
True, but won't she? Will she? Is the disease? Can she breed? Is the disease hereditary, or are we going to go through all this again in another 30 years?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure. No, it never says that the Grey Plague is hereditary.
Okay, so she just needs to pass it on quickly.
Yeah, although I mean, Val the Wildling thinks that it is, or
True.
thinks that she's gonna die. Or something,
Yeah, I was going to say she thinks she's like the demon reincarnate or something. But
yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy superstitious people.
Yeah,
Though
it's
annoyingly in
Wildling
this, crazy superstitious people are usually right. So
yeah.
But no, I like Shireen. I think probably something bad will happen to her, but that's just because bad things happen to everyone in this. One thing I liked is the Tyrion mercenary kind of sagas that were going on. They were interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, I liked them, but the fact that it wasn't all tied up by the end, I think is it's going to be a weakness because, like, Dance with Dragons and Feast for Crows were supposed to be a sort of consolidating books, where like you get everyone organized again, right?
Yeah, that was the idea. It was him trying to sort out where everyone is and was.
Yeah, so I thought like they're gonna contrive some reason for all the major players to be on the same side. So you have Daenerys, Jorah, Tyrion, and Quentyn.
Victarion as well.
Yeah, and Victarion maybe.
Well, he's just rocking into the bay right now, isn't he? So I think that's
he's pretty much off on his own tangent by now.
I think the idea is that kind of the reason Tyrion had to go unresolved is because he's obviously going to have a big part. Well, not a big part. He's obviously going to be caught up in the giant fucking battle that's about to come. So
yeah, but I've forgotten which side Tyrion is on now because he's convinced them to switch or something.
No, he's convinced Big Brown Ben Plum, or whatever he's called, to re-switch back to... Well, no, just to protect him and to side with the winning side, isn't it, I think? Or, yeah. So, what's going to happen probably because there's going to be two battles in the beginning of Winter. There's going to be the Stannis battle in the snow, I think, is the one confirmed one. And then there's going to be the Slaver Bay, Giscari, Victarion, Daenerys throwdown. And I'm assuming that, like, kind of between the fleet and Daenerys returning with her dragons and the Unsullies, etc., then it's basically going to be a whitewash. You kind of assume.
Yeah.
So I think that the idea is Tyrion is going to glide through on that and probably then reveal himself as Tyrion Lannister. Is what I think will happen, because he can't just continue to just be some dwarf slave forever.
Yeah, because the reason Jorah is bringing Tyrion to Meereen Is that just because he's a good bargaining tool with Cersei?
Yeah, well, it was to redeem himself in Daenerys' eyes. But obviously, that all fell out the window when they got captured and enslaved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously.
but to begin with, it was because he thought that he could, because he pissed Daenerys off, and he was hoping that he could win her back by, yeah.
Yeah,
I brought you a Lannister.
I think Daenerys is totally unreasonable dismissing Jorah.
No, I agree. But it's just because she needs to be an empowered woman.
Yeah.
Which you'd think having an army and a couple of dragons would do, but no, always want more.
Yeah. Well, she ends up marrying a slave owner, so.
Well, indeed. Which is another, yeah. I mean, obviously it was the whole kind of politics of the matter, but that thing felt like a defeat as well.
Well, I feel like the sort of closing chapters of Dance with Dragons were trying to imply that it was the Mo Resnack, who was sort of running the show, like on both sides, like with Quentin and with Barristan Selmy.
Okay,
he engineered for everything to fall apart.
You have to remember, I haven't read this in a while, but that would make sense because I remember he's the because in this. I berate people for this, like not like names merging together, but I swear the Giscari names George R. R. Martin scientifically designed to mesh together because
shit names.
especially with like looking back on it, then I'm just like, which one's which? Because there's the shaved Pat, and then there's the other advisor and then there's the guy who's always lobbying the court, and then there's the one she's going to marry. And it's like, and then fucking the guy that she kills in the TV, or she locks in the unlockable safe in the TV show turns up again. Zario, whatever he's called.
Yeah.
And
I forget how he sort of exits the storyline in Dance of Dragons because he's like besieging.
She says that she won't like budge, and then he's like, "Oh, you sadden me," and then he blockades her. So he's gonna be on the Victorian axe side of things, I think.
Yeah, Victorian is gonna cut him up.
Oh, I can't wait. I love Victorian. I'm just waiting for him to just butcher. Like those chapters where Victorian is just sailing across the ocean, stealing ships, are some quality chapters.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think he only like. Well, I mean, the problem is with Victorian, like, once he gets his, like, smoke powers, like, he's too strong, and then before he gets them, he's just, like, so downtrodden and despondent. It felt like too rapid of a transition.
I'm looking for... No, because the thing was he was, like, powerful, but he had no kind of... Like, you know, because he was a powerful warlord, etc., but he was too caught up in the system of which he existed in. And I think the smoke powers really bring him out of that. Now he's ready to betray some Euron and kick some ass.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get away with betraying Euron. I'm pretty sure that his mute is going to kill him.
Oh yeah, I figured this as well. The Dusky Woman, or whatever she's called.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, one of the theories is that the Dusky Woman is Euron. But that,
what?
Yeah, it completely ignores the fact that someone has to run the Iron Islands or the Iron Hold while he's away.
Yeah, that is just insane.
Yeah, well, the idea is that, you know, he needed to get across, but he wanted to do it without bringing attention to it, so he could kind of take the Dragonhorn at the last second. But it's such a convoluted, nonsensical plan because he's even going on a ship that's slower at transport going across the ocean than his ship.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's already lost to Victorian because the priest has sided with Victorian anyway. So
true, though I hope Victorian doesn't just die because of the Dusky Woman. That would be annoying. I like them both equally. I think because I like Euron and Victorian.
Yeah, I think they're both great. I wish they would get along.
Yeah, it's brotherly rivalries. And where's Aaron gone? I tell you, or Aaron. You know, it's like last we heard, he's just raising a rebellion on the Iron Island that doesn't actually seem to be occurring. Because there can't be anyone left on the Iron Island at this point to rebel.
With, like, Aaron is, like, Elrond is definitely on the fringe of being too useless to matter.
True,
Like,
but equally he's a priest, so I keep waiting for him to like blow up for his ass or something.
yeah, I mean, if he can like summon the gods, then
Yeah.
okay, Aaron, now we're talking. But yeah, it's like,
Well, the drowned gods seem like more potent than the seven, who are completely useless, but obviously less potent than Rillor, who's all powerful. So I'm just waiting for them to do something.
well, has the drowned god ever done anything?
I thought so. Is he not? It seems like he's. Maybe they just mention him loudly and proudly too much.
Yeah, because like when they drown people, are they
Mm.
actually do they kill them or and then they're resurrected?
No,
Or
I think it's just like scientific, as in they get knocked out and then like just
yeah,
pumped on the
yeah,
chest. I'm pretty sure it's nothing magical.
yeah.
And
So I don't think
they're
it's
just I think they're
exactly
just retarded Vikings.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, I think it is just Rillor. It's really weird.
Although the drowned god leads us in a chase towards Patchface
Oh yes.
because I think that his stint under the sea might have something to do with drowned god's powers.
Yeah, he's like quite a few of his prophecies come true. So I
Oh,
think
do they?
yeah, there's a thing about like because he does those mad little rhymes. Like
Yeah.
one of them predicts Davos landing on the Three Sister Islands, and another one, oh, what is it? I think it predicts Renly's death or something, or someone's death. Like his little fables have, like if you look into them, read true.
I see.
I'll see if I can find it quickly. Say your bit about Patchface.
Yeah, I just think like he's probably going to have a really interesting explanation. If he does get an explanation, which I hope he does. But yeah, like I hadn't actually looked at how many of his predictions come true.
Yeah, here we go. Fool's blood, king's blood, blood on the maiden's thigh, but change to the guest and change to the bridegroom. I. Which was the Red Wedding, which was in one of the Davos chapters from Clash of Kings.
Oh yeah.
Where is it? There is under the sea, snow falls up. I know. Something about crabs. Yeah, which is predicting the Celtigars because the Celtigar is the crab, and that's where he washes up.
Oh,
And there's a couple, yeah. Where is it? Because as ever, there are strange theories about Patchface's heritage as well as his drowned qualities. Like some people, because there's a like branch of the Targaryen family, the guys who are part of the Golden Company, like the
yeah.
Black Fires or whatever. Then there's apparently where is it? Yeah, it's the because there's a thing about Patchface being a green seer.
Oh right, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, and there's where is it here? Before Patchface's drowning, he was a bright and clever boy. He was sold into slavery, marked him with the facial tattoos, which explains his stint over in Essos, which is where the Blackfires were, and stuff like that. But equally, I don't know how all of this factors into the main plot, or whether it's just an interesting side detail.
Here's something pretty fucked up that I didn't notice when I was reading the books. Apparently, Melisandre says to Jon Snow about Patchface, "That creature is dangerous. Many a time I have glimpsed him in my flames. Sometimes there are skulls about him, and his lips are red with blood."
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's a bit fucking dark for
Yeah.
Patchface.
Well, yeah, there's something worse about crazy people doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's a good one Melisandre says that I just remembered, where she says she's searching for Azor Ahai, and all she sees is snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she said that, I was like,
Yeah.
"Yep."
I see. I
Probably
missed that when I read it, but I got told it later. So.
Well, what I think is going back to the Azor Ahai myth.
Mhm.
I think that probably the system of like picking the chosen one or whatever is you have several candidates and then one of them somehow emerges. Or maybe, like, because I think Jon Snow, and Daenerys and Aegon are probably like the three strongest candidates. And so maybe those are the three heads of the dragon, and actually, Azor Ahai has, in this case, assumed the form of three separate humans.
I hadn't even thought about the idea of there being multiple like ones and then one deciding. I just assumed he was putting in red herrings to make it slightly more interesting. But no, I like the idea of a selection process a lot better. I'm I'm still not sure. I still think Jon Snow is the most viable, but I mean, how would Ahai even operate through three human beings?
Well, I don't know, because therein lies the mystery. But the dragon has three heads.
True. Very true. It's yeah.
So
Who else have we got?
We covered?
Yeah. Barristan Selmy, basically done. He's threatening.
Yeah,
Though-
I think his chapters are really good. Like, he gives a good insight, and he spills a couple of little beans of information about like the past and stuff.
Yeah, I like his little past ones, like the person he used to love and stuff. Who people theorize is the woman who chucked herself off the balcony. I can't remember what her name is though.
No, I think he says it explicitly. That
Oh, does
it's
he?
Ashara Dane.
Yeah, that's the one. Dane. That's another thing. The Danes is a kind of mystical one, like the king, captain of the Kingsguard Dane, and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Danes seem to have some problems.
Like that sword of more, and yeah, the Darkstar. That's the point. Darkstar and Micella. We haven't got to that shit.
Yeah, well, that happened like a book and a half ago. So
True. Well, I still want to know what happened to Darkstar and what the fuck Darkstar was.
well, he got sent to didn't he get sent to Gaston Grey?
Yeah, something like that. No, he ran away, didn't he? After the failed assassination.
Oh, who got sent to Gaston Grey? Because I remember thinking that was a great name for a prison.
I don't know. I don't know what Gaston Grey is. This is.
It's like the worst prison in the world, and it's like in the Sea of Dawn.
Oh shit. No, I don't. I don't remember a thing about this.
Oh, never mind then. But yeah, yeah. I mean, they bring in a little bit of intrigue with Darkstar, but it could just be like just hypothesizing.
Oh yeah, here you go. Gaston Grey is an old castle that sits on the rock in the Sea of Dawn. It is falling apart. It is used to house the worst criminals.
Yeah.
That's a really specific bit of information to hold on to.
Or does it say who's there?
No, it doesn't say anything. It just says it's mentioned in one Ariana chapter.
Oh right, shit.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, what do you think is going to go on with Micella and that? Because clearly, the crowning her plan has kind of fallen out the window now, which is a shame. She's like the only one I like out of the three of them because Tommen's just fat.
Yeah, Tommen's boring. But yeah, and I think it's quite a nice bit of happenstance the way that Aris Oakheart bravely throwing himself at like Areo Hotar dying makes it possible. Champion.
Indeed, it's yeah. I mean, yeah, a bit of a throwaway character, but no, it worked.
I don't know, because I mean, obviously, I guess you feel the same. Became really fond of Aris as his chapters developed.
Indeed.
Yeah, that leads us on. Yeah, that leads us on to Cersei's champion, right?
Yes. Who I think are we in agreement? Who it is?
Yeah, I mean, I had a, well, I felt strongly that I knew what it was from like the beginning of Feast for Crows.
Yeah.
There's only one person it could be.
Yeah, it's the resurrected corpse of Sir Clegane.
Yeah. Now, if I was Qyburn, I would have gone one better and kept the corpse of Oberyn Martell and sort of super glue Oberyn Martell onto his arm to use as a weapon,
Oh.
and maybe use like the body of Tywin Lannister on the other arm, and then you've got like, and then reanimate them all, and then you've got a triple fighting like Tywin, Gregor, Oberyn giant.
Oh my lord, that would be insane. I think Qyburn had probably had enough trouble resurrecting one corpse. But no, I would love to see Tywin's corpse because I really like Tywin, but I'd love to see him used as an appendage.
I think Tywin dying was just about the right thing to happen in
Really?
Storm of Swords.
I don't know.
Because when he comes back and like takes the King's Hand seat away from Tyrion, he's just sort of he's too powerful and he's too infallible, I think.
Oh, he definitely
in charge.
But he definitely knew what he was doing.
All power would like defer to him and the throne, and it would just be kind of boring because it would be one guy running everything, and no one would ever dare to challenge him.
I guess this was the idea with Varys being so sure that he wanted everything to fail that he was even willing to kill the inferior Tywin that was Kevin, because even that would give too much control to the Lannisters. Because there's really no Lannisters left at this point. There's Jaime and Cersei.
And Lancel.
And Devon.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know, he's got his own card in the board game. It's not terrible.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, like, well, the Lannisters still have like as long as you've still got like Tommen on the throne and Cersei in King's Landing, not being a prisoner, then
who's going to look after Tommen at this point? Because it's basically just Cersei, and she can't really because she's been like disgraced or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've handed it all over to the Tyrells.
Yeah.
I thought the reveal was quite good when like Kevin is like telling Cersei what's happened, and he's like listing all the offices of power, and they're all Tyrells.
Oh yeah, like Randall Tarley and Paxter Redwine. Yeah, that was good. I really like. I'm looking forward. I hope kind of Mace Tyrell and like I'm still waiting for the Queen of Thorns to do something. Because she's got to die soonish, because she's an old person and old people can die pretty easily, kind of, without qualm. But she hasn't, because she's supposed to be the one kind of like, it's implied that her and like Marjorie are large and in charge compared to Mace, but they kind of just disappear after that whole Sansa subplot.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's just sort of been put on the back burner to focus on other things, because, like, I mean, they can bide their time. If Cersei's in prison, then there's not really anything that really desperately needs doing. But yeah, I think I mean Olenna is definitely to look out for, and then Mace and Marjorie, who really cares what happens to them.
True. Well, yeah, I mean Marjorie is just kind of just nice to drive Cersei insane, but not really a suitable kind of contender.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a Tyrell perspective.
I agree. The Tyrells seem way too impersonal at the moment.
Yeah,
also,
I mean, they're the only one of the Seven Kingdoms that hasn't had a perspective.
A little bit. Arryn's.
Oh yeah, true. Well, I mean, Littlefinger is the Lord of the Arryns now.
True. And I guess Sansa is technically his daughter.
Yeah. I think my theory about Qyburn is that because I think you say he came from the Brave Companions.
Yeah, he had interaction with Roose Bolton, if that's what you're getting at.
The way I remember it is that he came from the Dreadfort and he was like doing necromancy.
Okay. You might be right. You read it, but like I said, you've read it more recently than me. I'm willing to.
Yeah, I mean, but in any case, he's definitely spoken to Roose Bolton at some point, probably at Harrenhal.
Well, yeah, because they made the trade with Roose Bolton.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that. Well, although I mean, Qyburn seems pretty loyal to Cersei, but I think that he is probably like Roose Bolton's eye in King's Landing, and like sort of he seems to be the one character apart from Taena Merryweather who we all know is just there to provide lesbian fan service. But yeah, he seems to be the one character who Cersei seems to trust unconditionally, and so that gives Roose Bolton a lot of power in King's Landing, I think.
If that is true, then that is, yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I like the idea. Though, how would they stay in contact? Or are we just assuming that? Actually, no, he's Master of Ravens and shit. No, yeah, he'd be fine. Yeah, yeah. If he was, if Cersei made Roose Bolton's stooge the Master of Whispers, then goddamn, she's a bigger idiot than even I'd thought.
Yeah, but it would be a George R.R. Martin like reversal because Cersei never questions his loyalty, he's the perfect candidate for a flip flop.
Sure. And also I mean, I always assumed that the Lannisters were using the Boltons quite well in their little game, but if it was the other way around, then that becomes interesting.
Well,
But the Bolton position just seems so untenable, because they're not liked by their own people, and they're not liked by, the entire North is hostile to them. They've got the Arryns possibly coming up, and the Lannisters don't really have any personal feelings towards them, now that Tywin's dead. So it does seem like the Boltons have worked themselves into a bit of a hole.
Well, I mean, the plan was good enough, and they've got Winterfell, such as it is. And for some reason, George R. R. Martin has brought out of the woodwork, the Barrowtons, who, they don't like the Starks for some reason.
True, but there's the woman, and the theory is that she actually does like the Starks, and that she's just playing, because some of the lines she interacts with Theon on pretty strange.
Well, she says, a lot of my favourite Starks happen to be dead.
Yeah.
It's quite amusing.
I like her.
I think she's horrible.
Well, no, that's fine. I think she's an interesting character. You know what I mean? I think
yeah.
I think considering she's never really introduced as anything special, that she fills a nice role in just talking to Theon.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's work our way back down the north. We've done the Reeds, done Bran, Rickon, Sansa.
Actually, on the subject of Bran, if Bran is going to be anything, then it's going to have to be the other. Who R'hllor has to fight.
Yeah. Though, who's R'hllor? Is it Jon? That'd be a weird one.
Could be any one of them, but I mean, he's definitely being groomed for some kind of extreme power, considering how long it's been going on. He arrives in the place, Three-Eyed Crow, at the start of Dance of Dragons, and he's still there, and he's only had 1 or 2 chapters since then, and it's he must be really building up to something.
It's strange to think that the Children of the Forest could well turn out to be evil.
Well, I mean, according to the wiki, although I don't remember it myself, the Children of the Forest, they built they helped build the wall, and they helped fight the others, and they they put in that door, the talking door.
Oh yeah,
that needs to be explained.
Yeah, and so does Cold Hands. I mean, what the fuck is that all about?
I have a Cold Hands theory.
Go on quickly.
It's the most basic theory imaginable, but I think he is Benjen Stark.
No, he can't be Benjen Stark, unfortunately, because Cold Hands has existed for because they say at one point he's existed for hundreds of years. Annoyingly, because I liked the idea of him being Benjen Stark.
Alright.
But at one point they're like, oh yeah, he's been forever or something. So unless there's many Cold Handses or more than one.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
Benjen Stark is the one that hasn't been resolved yet either, and that's been since Clash of Kings.
I'm really looking forward to the resolution of the Benjen Stark thing.
Riverlands, we got the Freys. I mean, I'm guessing at some point Walder Frey is going to be killed in a terribly ironic way.
The fate of the Riverlands is all tied up with the Freys. And actually, there's something that has been missing from Dance of Dragons, I believe. Which is towards the end of Feast for Crows. I think Edmure Tully is sitting in a room, and Jaime Lannister or some acolyte of the Lannisters brings in Tom Sevenstrings, and Edmure goes, "Oh no," or something to that effect, and I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, because doesn't Tom Sevenstrings appear again at some point, near the Riverrun siege or something, or somewhere near there, or one of the Brotherhood? Yeah. Yeah, I remember thinking this was really weird. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's ever gonna get brought up again because it's been
It
so long since that scene happened.
must do because yeah, because Ed Tully's another one because obviously he's like kind of one of the last legitimate claims of the Riverlands. There's also that theory about Jean Westerling and the fact that they might have replaced her with her sister, so the Lannisters don't actually have Jean now, and that there might be a Robb Stark heir running around or something to
Oh,
make
right.
things even more complex.
Yeah, I've never detected anything about her sister.
Well, there was this thing because they said that like the people who actually go to collect Jean Westerling and like the mother and that the mother seems oddly calm with giving her away and things like this, and they think that it might have been a switcheroo. And then
Uh,
there's what happened to Brendan Blackfish.
oh yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah,
I have a feeling he's just gonna join up with the Brotherhood without banners.
probably just wash up downstream somewhere.
Yeah, because he fits right in because he already knows Cat Stark, and he's just a dude who just wants to like fight for justice and stuff. So
True, though the Brotherhood aren't really that interested in fighting for justice anymore, it seems. Which reminds me, Brienne and Jaime Lannister disappearing for the second half of Dance with Dragons. What's all that about?
yeah, that was I thought that was just like that was a thing that really needed more time to explain. Like
True.
you can't just. I don't think it's enough of a cliffhanger to have one single Brienne chapter, or was it a Jamie
There was
chapter?
a Jaime chapter. It was just at the end. It was just because that was the other weird thing. It was intentionally false. It was about Brienne and Sansa, which couldn't even be a thing. So it was clearly some sort of trap. And if Brienne gets Jaime killed, then I'm going to be really annoyed.
Wait, was it about Sansa?
Yeah, it was. It was like, oh, the Hound has got Sansa. We need to go save them.
Oh right, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, because
It's intentionally kind of insane from our perspective.
but Brienne has been fed like such misinformation throughout Feast for Crows. Like she
True.
doesn't know what she's doing. She's not on the trail of any of the Stark children.
No, which is annoying because I really liked. I mean, I think I ship Brienne and Jamie pretty damn hard, and I want only good things for them. But it
Yeah, well,
doesn't seem to be heading that way.
no, I think it's like it's such an obvious pairing that it's inevitable.
But I don't know. I mean, at the moment, all we can really infer that Brienne has agreed with Lainey Stoneheart's deal and is leading Jamie to his death, seemingly.
Um, yeah. Although if Stoneheart trusts Brienne and Brienne vouches for Jamie, then maybe they'll join forces. Maybe Jamie will join the Brotherhood without banners.
True. Though at that point, surely, maybe, though, surely Jamie's army would be more useful.
True. Yeah.
So yeah, Lannisters, Devon. No one cares about Devon. Ilyn Payne, who I quite like. I like his little clackling thing he gets later on when he
Yeah.
laughs at Jamie. That's
Yeah, that bit of
sinister.
character development.
Yeah. Do you think Daenerys is going to go east before she can go west, or do you think she's just going to go west? Because that's one of the big things.
Oh well, I'm quite looking forward to seeing what the Shadow is like.
Have we got enough time to go east to go west?
I guess she's gonna have to.
Well, that's what she's been told to do. But she, is. I mean, I guess once Victarion's, I'm just assuming Victarion's going to clean up. I mean, it seems likely. But I guess once that battle's over, then I guess they go west. No, they go east.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Daenerys seems to be sort of lone wolfing it at the moment.
Mm.
Um. Uh. We'll see what the Shadowlands are like. Maybe they'll be really cool.
Do you reckon we'll
Maybe
see
some
them?
magic will happen. Well, yeah, because like everything Quaithe has said has been really important. So.
Sure, I suppose. I don't know. I can't imagine what there's gonna be that makes because they're kept so intentionally vague and kind of yeah.
Well, I mean, they're kind of like a mirror image of like the Land of Always Winter or something. Like the far ends of the world.
Mm.
Because like in the first book where Bran sees everything and he sees the light at the end of the world that's like beyond the north. Maybe there's something similar that Daenerys is going to explore, like some kind of like mythology, magic related thing in the shadow.
True. Well, yeah, but this is the thing. I mean, how's that going to get her closer to Westeros?
Maybe the shadow and the north are connected due to some kind of
Actually,
geography.
that's really interesting because one of the only official maps of Game of Thrones that exists, other than the big map pack they released, shows a like a god on the end of the Shadowlands and a god at the top of the north.
Oh, that's
That
interesting.
could be a thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I've talked to you on Facebook about this theory before, about sort of the idea that there are two like forces that are sort of in a deadlock.
Yeah.
So you've got the cold force and the hot force.
Do we assume the hot force is real or?
I guess so. But it basically takes the form of like dragons and like the incineration of Valyria and so on.
Glass and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and so like humans can sort of sow the dragon fire into their weapons, which gives the fire an edge over the cold. So if there was like maybe the shadow is sort of a plume of smoke. So maybe there's like a fire god on one end and an ice god on the other end.
That would be, yeah. I never even thought about that. I thought it was just map decoration, but if so,
Yeah,
that
it
could
could
be.
just be.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, there needs to be something there that decides it because, like I said, he's got because they can't like you know. There was one guy who was suggesting the idea of like Daenerys goes west, that goes east, and like in real life, then there is a parallel of North America that kind of she has to cross. But there's way too much to introduce in too little time. So
Well, I'm not sure because like Essos is pretty big, and it might just be that the entire planet is Westeros and Essos, and it's just a Pangaea.
yeah. Well, this is the thing because like you know, they state that people have gone searching both ways. Like there was the Tyrion's relative who went to search for like what happened to the Doom, and there was one of the Starks who went the other way to try and find land west of Westeros and never came back.
Oh yeah.
And so there's like these people who've kind of like gone out and disappeared and stuff, and you're like, why was that mentioned? Is that just a kind of nice people are exploring and failing kind of thing, or is it going to be a thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose because I've seen that George R. R. Martin says that the seasons, the whole state of affair with the seasons, is going to have a magic-related explanation rather than being like sort of to do with like planetary scientific sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but
Well,
so maybe when he explains the seasons, he'll sort of explain some more about the world and like what's outside the borders of the map.
Well, he said he's openly admitted not that there is an America, but that the concept of one is in his mind as well. Because he's said things like, "Oh, the map won't include things beyond including the thing that may or may not exist in America, etc." So he knows what we're thinking.
Yeah, there is one last character who I have some thoughts about.
Go for it.
And that is Mormont's Raven.
Go on.
Just because I feel like it's strongly implied that Mormont is a warg, a skin changer, even, and that the Raven is his familiar. Just because it says stuff about how long he's had the Raven, like how like the Children of the Forest, like ravens are like the things they practice on, so it's like the lowest level of skin changing. And yeah, just like the fact that it constantly reacts to what Jon Snow's doing, like because Jon Snow is sort of his protege.
Yeah, so he's like from beyond the grave, kind of mentoring.
Yeah, and so like basically when Mormont died, he would have put himself into the Raven, and sort of acts as a guide to Jon Snow.
Yeah, I like that idea. To be fair, I think that Varamir chapter where we learn all the kind of like ins and outs of Warging was really cool. I think it was.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, because it summed up so much, and then
Yeah.
like stuff about how you can control humans.
True. And now Mackenzie Crook has to portray part of that man.
Yeah,
Because
well, I
they've
was
mixed.
expecting him to be more significant, but
Well, they've combined in the TV show. They're combining Orel and Varamar and a couple of other Wool characters into Mackenzie Crook, make things easier and more significant.
yeah.
Which I guess makes sense. Kind of annoying, but you know they don't have time.
I think the last character who we haven't talked about is the Sphinx.
Oh yeah, goddamn, you're pulling all these out of the woodwork. Go on then.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to think about the Sphinx. I was thinking about the riddle. The Sphinx is the riddle, not the Riddler.
Yeah.
I was rereading the prologue from Feast for Crows, in which Sphinx appears. Sphinx seems to be obsessed with talking about dragons. Maybe he's some kind of hidden Targaryen heir.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Well, this entire thing in Old Town seems really strange, because we might as well talk about this quickly with like Samwell and all that, because we haven't really got onto it.
Well, I mean, the thing about Old Town is that they can cover so much ground in terms of like explaining what's going on and like the myth and the magic and stuff and how sorcery works. Like they can get a lot of that shit done, and also bring out like some of the sort of intrigue to do with like how the Meisters are the ones who are really in control.
Yeah, and how they don't like magic returning, etc. I did like that whole conspiracy theory that the lady in the north talks about as well, that the Maesters are all in control.
Yeah, because I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, because
they control the communications.
And there's got to be one per castle, so yeah, it's like an extra governmental force.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's yeah, I mean I think Old Town has been critically kind of abused or like underdeveloped, and like that thing where Samwell meets that maester who's kind of unorthodox and then he sails off around the world or whatever was kind of a bit out of the blue. Do you remember he talks to him, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go then do something plot important. Like, cool, get back to me on that one. Yeah, it's yet another unanswered question. Do you reckon by the end of this there will be a Seven Kingdoms or the Seven Kingdoms?
Well, I mean, this will be a good closing point.
Yeah.
How do we think a Game of Thrones is going to end?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to be on the throne? And
is there a throne? I mean, will Westeros be united again, or?
Yeah, because I think one thing I think might happen is whatever happened to Valyria, which has been kept nice and secretive, will happen to Westeros. Because like you've got like the dragons and the others like meeting, you have a sort of annihilation effect. Like everyone's too busy fighting each other, no one's in control. Robert may have broken fate. Yeah, I think like there's enough chaos going on that like something cataclysmic could happen. Yeah. And the other thing that I think might happen is a reset to sort of sort of like just the start of the Targaryen reign, where you still have like a king in the north. So like maybe the Iron Islands will join with Stannis and rule the north, or they'll join with one of the Stark siblings and rule the north. And then you'll have the Southrons being ruled by the Targaryens again.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'll be a complete Westeros again, because there's just been kind of too much bloodshed, etc., and everything's like the central authority's gone at this point, basically. I think probably there'll be a Stark in the north by the end of it, if there isn't some sort of cataclysmic event. I think there will like, because there's like two realms of Game of Thrones. There's like the political side, but then there's obviously the magic side, and so. Well, we can say who might be in charge of the Iron Throne. It might not make much difference if kind of the others have appeared, etc.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Because like, I mean, with a sort of like huge scale, like massively interconnected soap opera, where everything is sort of morally grey and you don't really have anyone who you root for more than the next guy, like it's hard to sort of wrap that up in a satisfying way, without bringing in like some kind of like supernatural, like all-consuming threat.
Indeed.
And so, like, I mean, the only way that like you can sort of return Westeros to a state of inertia, which is essentially what you need to do to make the ending good, is probably just to destroy all of it.
So wait, are you saying that no one survives?
Yeah, either that or it's a reset to like a more
Yeah.
peaceful time.
Well, I think if there is some sort of event, then there will be like survivors, but I imagine it'll probably be drastically thinned out, kind of like a plague. Like, I don't know, because there's got to be something. Though even then, like the amount of war and devastation that's already hit Westeros is pretty much kind of like unrecoverable. I mean, the political structures have basically been destroyed at this point. Like you have, I mean, the Tullys have been wiped out. The Arryns are on their way out. Like there's basically one heir at this point.
Yeah.
The Starks aren't a political force anymore. Like it seems like which will probably involve the dragons and the others. You reckon they'll fight? It seems like one of the only viable options.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy enough for the dragons to make it up to the wall and fight the others. Whether it will come to that, I don't know. Because it seems like, I think with Jon Snow dead or deposed, I think what is being set up is the wall will fall or will fail. But then that leaves Stannis in such an awkward position. Like just as soon as he gets Winterfell, he gets descended upon by like this undead army.
But no, I mean that's the thing. I mean, it becomes really hard to tell who will be politically in control when we aren't even sure if there'll be a Westeros to control.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think at this point, if anyone's heading for a kind of victory, annoyingly, it's Daenerys. Which, I don't really like the idea of the Targaryens becoming back in control because it kind of makes it feel like it was always their divine right to be in control.
Well, I think in a way it is, because the only, like Aegon the Conqueror, sort of, he won Westeros fair and square with supreme power. Like, there was no politics involved, he just had the power to do it. And so, like, I think that's because, like, he has an ultimate power and he doesn't rely on other people with their own agendas. I think if you have a character like that, which is what Daenerys is trying to be, then you end up with a much more sort of stable, politics because everyone answers to the same guy.
Sure. So you're saying absolute monarchy is better than feudal monarchy?
Yeah, I mean, look what happens as soon as the Targaryens aren't on the throne. It's chaos constantly.
True. Well, it was really when the Targaryens' dragons died that it kind of. But no, I agree. I mean, annoyingly, the like Daenerys calls them the pretenders, have just fucked up the country. But equally, that annoys me because I like some of the pretenders, and it feels kind of silly that kind of Stannis and Renly and that all fought this giant war if just a Targaryen is going to be back on the throne.
Yeah, but if it's not a Targaryen on the throne, then it's going to be some fallible power. Like Stannis on the throne will be all well and good, but like
it's Shireen,
yeah, like if he'll be old, he'll die. He doesn't have any good children. He just has Shireen.
Or I guess it is going to be either Aegon or Daenerys or Jon Snow.
Yeah, Jon Snow is the best possible outcome.
Or Tyrion, if some people are to be believed.
Yeah, Tyrion might be a good king.
Sorry. So we all know the best king would have been Renly.
Yeah, it's a shame that Renly died.
I don't know. I don't really miss him. Thanks for listening to us talk. Hope you've garnered something. We'll try and put some of the links to the theories that we have found. And hopefully one of us editing this has been better. So until then, goodbye.